So, this is a bit of a long story. In 2022, me and my wife bought our first house. It's an ex-council house with a complex of two-story flats at the rear, right at the back of our garden. We get on with all the residents. We have to, living in such close proximity. We had been in our new home for about 6 months. A vacancy became available in the second-story flat that directly overlooks our back garden. I can't stress enough how close these flats are to our garden, and this flat, in particular, is the closest due to the angle of the building. One day, my wife spotted a man standing outside the flats, just over the wall at the back of our garden. There's a man staring at our house. She shouted to me. I went to the window, and sure enough, there was a man standing there looking directly at our house. It wasn't a big deal, and I assumed that he was moving in and that he was waiting for a key. Unfortunately, I was right. During the first week, I started noticing him at his window a lot looking over at our house. I work from home, and I would regularly see him at the largest of the two windows that overlook our garden. He was a smoker, so it seemed reasonable enough. It was only when I started to really pay attention that I noticed just how often he was at the window. He would open the window to smoke, but when he wasn't smoking, he would just sit there, looking across at our house. I'm not exaggerating when I say he was there all the time. I would see him when I got up in the morning. He would be there all day, and I would notice him there late into the evening. He did this every single day. We started noticing him opening his window as soon as we stepped out into our garden. We would try waving to him, but he would just ignore us, staring at us with this vacant expression. We dubbed him Window Man. He never left his flat, so we were never able to introduce ourselves properly and maybe break the ice. After a few months of this odd behavior, we heard through the grapevine that he had been telling people that we were moving because we didn't like the people living in the flats. We laughed and shrugged this off and clarified that we were not moving and that we had no issues with people in the community. About 6 months later, we got a dog. This is when things escalated. Every day, as soon as our dog was out in the garden, he would be there. He would wind our dog up, whistling and tapping on the window. He's a very reactive dog, and this caused him a lot of distress. He continued to do this for months, and then one day we received a noise complaint from the local council. We did everything we could, but due to the height and proximity of the flats, creating any kind of privacy screen was unrealistic. We tried to ignore his behavior for the best part. Our bathroom is at the rear of the house, and I started noticing that he would go to his window when my wife was having a shower. As soon as our bathroom light went on, he would turn all of his lights off and go and crouch down at his window. I also noticed him walking along the street in front of our house, looking in through all the windows. I noticed that our dog would just go on these absolute barking frenzies in the house as soon as his window opened. It also looked as though he had a camera set up in the window, pointing at our house. A few weeks later, there was a knock at the door. It was the RSPCA, and they said they had received reports of animal cruelty. They couldn't disclose who made the complaint, but whoever it was had told them that we were essentially starving our dog and mistreating him. This was all completely fabricated, and as soon as they saw our dog and we explained the situation, they were happy to put it down to a malicious report. I started finding objects in our grass. A razor blade that looked fairly new, sharp pieces of plastic, and a small bottle of unknown liquid. Our dog was very ill on one occasion, and there was blood in his bleep. We installed a camera watching our back garden not long after that. We spoke to people in the community about the malicious complaints we were receiving and mentioned the concerning behavior of this resident. One member of the community told us that they knew exactly who made the complaints. All of them. It was Window Man. He told us that this resident had approached him and told him that he was going to report us to the council and the RSPCA, and that we wanted him to do the same. He refused and said that he didn't want any part in it. We raised the issues with the local housing officer and asked them to contact the resident. A letter was sent to the resident about harassment. The malicious complaint stopped, and he stopped watching us all day. He moved not long ago, so we were pretty happy about that. Window Man, let's not meet.